Welcome to Leverage to Build Wealth, where we discuss and educate entrepreneurs, mortgage, real estate, and financial service professionals on how to leverage tools and other people's experience to truly leverage to build wealth to create the lifestyle and legacy you desire. Hello, welcome to Leverage to Build Wealth. Today's special guest is Dennis Torres. He is a adjunct professor from Pepperdine University and an author as well. He's written quite a couple books. And we're going to discuss that today. He's a well-accomplished gentleman with a very creative and a very interesting background that I find that many of my guests will really enjoy. And we're also going to be able to talk about some really good principles on how to leverage to build wealth. Thank you very much, Dennis, to our show. How are you doing today?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tom. Anyway, I'm excited to talk to your audience because I created one of the three courses that I taught at Pepperdine University in the full-time MBA program. Was actually the most sought after and popular course in the program, called Acquiring Wealth, Power, Success, Morally, and Ethically. And I'll tell you how that title came about in a little bit, except to say this for your audience, that in the book, I talk about how even people who earn minimum wage can acquire financial independence. And under the wealth title here, that's the criteria, financial independence, which means that you can choose whether you want to continue working to earn income or do it part-time or not at all. And I have many examples in the book of people who earned minimum wage their entire life and ended up with financial independence, some of them with the net worths in the millions of dollars.
Wow.
The formula is tried and true. And the basis of it, of course, is to live below your means instead of spending all your money, to live below your means and invest some of it. Now, that may mean to many people earning minimum wage that you can only save $5 a week or $10 a week or $100 a month. And I'll tell you how you can do that. And then when you get enough money saved up to invest that money, when you invest money, the money is working for you 24/7. Okay, and you reach a basis somewhere down the road where that can now support you and give you a certain amount of choice. It's tried and true. As I said, there's many examples in the book of how to do that. Starting off.
Now, these examples are real life examples that you have, or are they just like case study examples? Like,
no, they're real life examples. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely real life examples. Okay. And my students, of course, being MBA programs in the environment, the culture that we have in the U.S., they all want to get rich in 2 or 3 years and then travel the world and have fun. Okay. One of the things that I asked the class to do was to pick a day and not spend one penny for that day. I said, you can plan for it. You could put gas in your car, get food in your refrigerator. But if you forget, then it's on you. But dedicate one day where you do not spend 1 cent. And the purpose of that was to let them know that actually you can live a day without going out and spending money. And then we also had them do one day where they wrote down everything they spent. The idea, again, is to make them aware of where they spent their money. Just simple things, too. For instance, students very often would say to me, well, it's easy for you to say, Professor, but I have $50,000 or $75,000 or $100,000 worth of student loan debt. Yeah. Okay, how can I save money? And I would say to them, well, I can't help but observe that every day you come to class, you've got a Starbucks that is costing you $6 or $7, actually more than that because that's after-tax money. And if you take advantage of going to the student lounge and getting free coffee every day, you can put that $6 or $7 into the account, and ultimately that would pay off your student debt by itself. Thanks to compounding and thanks to investment.
Time value money. Yeah.
Yeah. And, they also observe what they would spend their money on. junk food.
Netflix and all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. It's things that they could live without. In fact, when I asked them not to spend for a day, they said, geez, we were going to go to a movie, but we decided to stay home because we committed to not spending the money. And we watched TV and it was so nice. And the same, they'd say, well, we were going to go out to eat, but instead we cooked at home and it was so much nicer. And they become aware of it. In fact, if you go to the supermarket now, any day you go there and you happen to observe people who made minimum wage or less than minimum wage, and you observe what they're buying, you can almost see they don't have the money consciousness. Okay, they're buying without regard to discounts. They might be buying alcohol, tobacco, other things that junk foods. So one of the things too that we investigated in class is I would ask them, how many people use cents off coupons when they go buy groceries or anything that is on a coupon discount? And very few of the students ever did. They're usually too busy to deal with something like that.
Yeah, or there's a social stigma to that,
Yes, exactly. So I would say, who do you think are the biggest users of cents off coupons? And it turns out that the wealthiest areas, people use the cents off coupons because they are aware of value for the money. In California, we have an area called Beverly Hills, which is noted to be a high-end community. And there, according to the internet research, they were the highest users of cents off coupons.
Really?
They have money awareness. In fact, I won't name names, but there's a celebrity that almost most people would know of many generations that I happen to be very good friends with. And their net worth is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And they use cents off coupons in their shopping.
Really?
Yes, because they are a money consciousness, and you have to develop a money consciousness. What am I getting for my money?
Value exchange.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not a surprise. In my book, The Course, I also have guest speakers in the course that come there since you're into leverage. And I have 4 guest speakers on the series, on the class that we do on real estate.
Oh, very good.
There were a lot, which is typically a leverage investment. One of the guest speakers buys only all cash for his property and does it with no leverage because he's just interested in getting the income stream. So he buys single tenant commercial properties standalone, and but he started using leverage. That's how he got the money to buy all cash. Okay, and another one of the guest speakers, and I have them 4 as a panel in that particular class.
Yeah.
Another one was somebody who had graduated Pepperdine a few years earlier and had no money to start off. He took a salary job and he lived below his means, saved up, and he managed to acquire one property where an owner financed it. He put a little bit down, and then as the equity grew in it, he borrowed against that, got another property, did the same thing and the same thing. And within 5 years of being out of Pepperdine, he owned 4 income-producing properties, and he no longer had to work. He had the choice of, shall I continue or I should just live off the income. Anybody,
that right there is the ultimate goal. I think when you talk to most people, and to your original point, to have the choice whether or not you want to work. That's the biggest thing. It's not how many zeros are in your account, because that's all relative and that's all like, okay, what do those numbers represent? I think it's the real intent behind it is the power of choice versus being compelled to, for whatever reasons you may, dictate those are in your life, to have to go to work. And so I think sounds like that's the ultimate premise, of your thesis really is, hey, it's the ability to choose how you want to live your life versus it being forced upon you. Am I correct there?
You are absolutely correct. Right. And it works. I just want to read something. The students, over the years, I get messages from past students there. So here's one thing and it's just to give you an idea. Okay. He says, "Dear Professor, thank you for so much for your class I took many years ago, Acquiring Wealth, Power, Success, Morally and Ethically. 8 years later, I have paid off more than 185,000 in student loan debt, am now 100% debt free, and have increased my net worth by more than $1 million since then. The course built foundations and opened the door to my personal finance for me. Thank you so much."
All right. That's
And
awesome. I love hearing that kind of stories.
And here's another one from the book. The book is written, I should say this, the book is written as fiction because I don't want to be sued. So I've changed names and locations, but essentially it's in here. And when I say don't want to get sued, it's from people who may not like the way you portrayed them or something.
100%.
Yeah. So here's another one, and then I'll get into some of the other factors in the book. I have learned more about financial health, wealth management, and financial planning in this course than any finance or typical business class. Other classes taught me how to read an income statement, but this class taught me how to use my income to create wealth, stability, and ensure a successful future, which I would have to argue is just as important, if not even more so.
Yes. Amen to that. That is wonderful. Those are incredible testimonials. That says a lot to the quality of the work that you do, not just the content. And so that's pretty incredible. Are you still teaching right now, or are you retired?
No, I was retired after 30 years.
Wow.
And my motivation for retiring was I wanted to have more control over my time so that I can try and learn and do other things. So since I retired the end of May. That was my last day of 2017. And, I've written 4 books since then in novel form. So I'll give you a little background on this book, and here it is. Okay, this is a preview copy. Even though the book's been out for a couple of years, I just grabbed the preview copy that I had. And it's called The Course, subtitled Acquiring Wealth, Power, Success, Morally and Ethically. And how that came about was that I taught 2 other classes in the MBA program. One was called Negotiation and Resolution of Business Disputes, and the other one was Global Finance, where I took the students every year to the banking institutions in New York, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, and several others. And then from there we would go to Washington, D.C. and go to the World Bank, the IMF, and other like organizations. And the dean asked me to teach a course in ethics. And having never taught ethics, I wrote to other professors in different colleges and universities and asked them what syllabus they use and what books they use, etc. And then I also did some research. Well, I didn't like what I got back. Nothing that was wrong with it. It just didn't resonate with me. And in my research, it said by the time a student reaches graduate school level, they've been told what's right and what's wrong so many times that just regurgitating it was not going to be an effective thing. So I decided I would approach ethics from a standpoint of, instead of this is right and this is wrong, that every action that you make carries with it a consequence.
Yes.
Okay. Just like in physics. Okay. For every action, there's a reaction type of thing. And I also knew that new classes, when you start a new class, it doesn't get into the catalog until you have a number of students that are taking it. Typically, in the university, if you start a new class, you get 2, 3, and then the next year, if the students get the word out, then you get 5 or 6, and then by the time you get 30, it can get into the catalog. Well, my class, I figured I better do something to attract students, and that is to put in wealth.
Yes.
Because students want wealth. And that's how the title came about, Acquiring Wealth, Power, Success, Moral, and Ethically, something the students wanted to do. And of course, I wanted them to acquire wealth ethically, because if you don't, your life is never going to be good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if to be successful in life, you have to have people have to trust you. They have to have faith in you. You have your reputation is everything. So even if you have to lose money on a deal, never compromise your reputation, because you may not get it back.
Yeah, it's otherwise it becomes a house of cards and it will fall.
Exactly. And you're never going to be happy anyway. That's the consequence of the choices that you make.
Yes.
Okay. Money cannot be your God. What has to be your God there is that you are going to follow your passions and do something that will benefit other people, not just you. Okay.
That brings up a point. This thought kind of resonates with me. It's ill-gotten gains make you sick.
Yes.
And it's a sickness of your mind. It's a sickness of how you view others. It's amazing. People who are takers, not contributors, not exchangers, but people who are takers tend to think that everyone's out to take them. They don't trust anybody. They can't have good, healthy relationships. They cannot have a healthy anything. And it's interesting, people who have I don't want to say cliche, but a poisoned mind, it impacts everything else. It impacts their physical health, their social well-being. Everything about it is poisoned. And it's ironic because ill-gotten gains, I think poison you. And so I really love that aspect of where you're talking about, having not having the asset as the necessarily the goal itself, but what's your rudder, what's the strength, what's your core, and how does that dictate and help you navigate through your decisions. So please continue. I'm really liking this. It really resonates with me.
Yeah, what you're saying here too, there's another analogy that I've heard on the same thing, that if you're all you see in life is money, you would go to the beautiful redwood forest here in California, and you'd see these 3,000-year-old trees that are utterly amazing when you consider they were growing for 3,000 years, plus they're just beautiful anyway. And what you would see is, I could build 40 homes from one of those trees. Okay, so you're missing the whole point of the spiritual value of that tree by looking, everything is cashed in value.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a big advocate for people to follow their passions. You have to be pragmatic too and pay your bills. But if you work at something that you're passionate about and you can produce an income to pay, you can also save a part of that. For example, you say, well, rent's so high, I can't. Well, if your goal is to have financial independence, then maybe you're going to have a roommate for a while, or two roommates or three roommates, until you build up a couple $1,000s that you can invest. In fact, what I have the students do, and I do for myself, always throughout my life, always, from the time I earned a nickel, I have two bank accounts. One that I pay my bills from, and the other one is a linked high
yield
interest rate savings account. Okay, like right now, I have my Chase bank account that I pay everything from, and I have a high interest savings account with American Express because they've been paying 4.6, 4.7% now for a couple of years. Okay, so even now that I have great financial independence, much more than I ever thought I would have, I still save every month. Okay, and it's a habit I acquired I've been working since I'm 10 years old. And if you read anything about me, I've had over 64 jobs and careers in my lifetime.
Wow.
And for the benefit of your audience, one of those careers is I founded, owned, and managed a real estate brokerage company in California with over 100 salespeople. So I bought plenty of real estate during that time on leverage.
Yeah.
Okay. And a couple of things on that is, one, just don't go out and buy something. You really have to know the market.
Yes.
As I used to tell people, sometimes in an apartment building, if you're going to buy an apartment building, one side of the street could be considerably more valuable than the other side of the street, because they could be in two different school districts, for example, and one school district has a much higher rating. So just don't say, oh, this apartment house sounds cheap or something. You have to know and do research on what you're buying.
Yes.
Okay, and as is outlined in my book, the one student had no money at all, and he found it for sale by owner. Talked the woman who was going into a retirement home, leaving her long home, going into a retirement home, into selling with virtually nothing down, and even leaving most of the furniture because she was going into a retirement home. And then he refinanced the building, paid her off, okay, and then continued to refinance and buy real estate. And then he
Nice.
bought a duplex, converted it to a condominium. Okay, was able to sell off each separately, and down the road he acquired a lot, starting off with no money. Okay,
That's awesome.
So if you follow your passion, there's an old saying, I'm sure you've heard it too, that if you do what you love, then you'll never work a day in your life.
Yes.
So you can become aware of that. And I think one of the problems that people have too in their life is they look and say, I have to make millions of dollars, or today $1 billion. No, you don't. Okay. Financial independence, the way I used it in the course too, wealth was, if your income stopped today, how long could you maintain your lifestyle? 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years? Many people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month could not sustain their lifestyle without that income for more than a month or 2 or 3. Okay, or they'd be in trouble. And you don't have to have billions of dollars to have a wonderful financial security life where you can have a choice. And in fact, if you had hundreds of millions of dollars, you'd probably have so many decisions and so many demands on your money and so many people coming after it, and lawyers and accountants and everything else, that you'll have no time to sit and enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah. That's really interesting. It's Robert Kiyosaki talks about a lot. It's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep, which is the premise of what you're talking about, and understanding scalability, and what you're talking about is really understanding your numbers, scalability, and being disciplined, and getting away from the keeping up with the Joneses. It's like, okay, are you caring more about what others think you are, your persona, your avatar that's out there on social media? Do you care about that, or do you care about what really matters? Are you caring? Social media doesn't pay your bills, doesn't take care of you, doesn't, if anything, social media causes more angst. I think really, if we were to really look at, what are people's emotional triggers and how they can get triggered and absorbed into social media, versus focusing on what matters, and to your point of seeing your students in class, some people, it doesn't even matter what's in that Starbucks cup. For them, they want other people to see that have that Starbucks cup,
Yeah, well, you're right there. That's what motivated them to buy it in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. And interesting enough too, I used to watch them. They'd get the largest size, the Venti, whatever it is, and throw half of it away, and then a couple hours later get another one. Okay.
Yeah. Very interesting.
They're not even thinking about it. And here is free coffee there. Me,
yeah, that's
me,
funny.
the old professor, would get the free coffee always. Okay. I'm very fortunate that I acquired far more money and have far more money today to sustain a very comfortable lifestyle. I live at the beach in Malibu. Okay,
That says a lot, especially in today's market.
And my house is paid for. It's been paid for almost 2 decades.
Wow.
And that, by the way, is I doubled up payments when I could. Okay, on the mortgage. Okay, I bought new cars. Okay, over the years, I bought expensive cars, but one of my cars now looks, other than the design, but the paint and everything else looks like the day I got it, and it says it's starting its 26th year.
Wow.
Okay, I could buy 10 of them, and it wouldn't interfere at all with my lifestyle whatsoever. Okay, but a car is transportation. Okay.
Yes, that's one thing I've learned a lot from a lot of millionaire clients I've had. I'm not a millionaire myself, but I've had a lot of millionaire clients. A lot of them drive just pickup trucks or Honda Accords. They don't need, they can have like their flashy cars if they want to. I remember, going through like income statements with people and guys like, man, I go buy a Maybach if I want, but like, why? I would rather buy some investment properties, which is why we were talking, and he's like, I would rather buy something that makes me money, and the vehicle is just the vehicle. And for me, that was really thought provoking because at that time, I was a mortgage officer with Quicken Loans, which I love that career, but it was interesting that loan officers, after they got their first couple months of real big paychecks, they became what we called the $40,000 millionaires. They were quick to go to Old Town Scottsdale. I was in Arizona, and everyone started getting BMWs, and all the pretty BMWs with all the options. And then when they would get to management, then they jump ship to the Mercedes. But the clients who had the money, who we were talking to, they would drive up with the Honda Accord or just the pickup truck. They'd come in with the jeans. And here you got these $40,000 millionaires. Now they're making a whole lot more than 40,000, but we call it $40,000 millionaires, with a really nice press suit and all that. But the ones who really had the money, who were really making the major decisions, were the ones who were coming in with the t-shirt and jeans. And that for me taught me a whole lot more in a very important time of my life. And so I like what you pointed out there. It's not the flashy BET music videos where you see everyone with all of these, flashy cars, because that's often comes with a whole lot of other stresses. And so that's pretty interesting. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. I'm just, the context you put out there, I think is really important.
Yeah, my commute to Pepperdine from my home was 7 miles there and 7 miles back each day. So if I was going to go out and spend $50,000 or $100,000 on a car, how long would I have to work for the car?
Yes.
Okay, instead of for myself.
Yes.
And another thing people that don't have the money consciousness don't realize is, if you go out and spend 50,000 for a car, or 40 or 30, it doesn't make any difference. You're not really spending 30, 40, or 50,000. You're spending a lot more, because that's after tax money.
Yep.
Okay, so you have to work a lot more.
And if they financed it.
Exactly. Yeah. If you finance it even more so. In fact, that was one question it's in the book too, that I used to ask the students: what's worth more, a penny earned or a penny saved? Okay, and then of course they asked, what's the point of that question there? What does it mean? And they couldn't figure out the answer. And I say, it's a penny saved because that penny is after tax, where the penny earned is not a penny.
Yeah,
you got to pay tax on that. Okay, and I wanted to get that consciousness into them, and other things that are in the books to bring money consciousness to the students. In one of the classes, I used to say, when you come back from your break, I'm going to introduce you to the greatest salesman of all time. And they wonder, who is that person? And then I would give them the initials there. And now I have to think of the first name on there. CR. I would say CR, so everybody can, who's CR, who's CR. So when we come back from the break, I would put the man's name on the whiteboard, and that's Cecil Rhodes. I say, anybody hear of Cecil Rhodes, the greatest salesman of all? No, nobody ever heard of him. I said, I think if I tell you the name of his company, you'll know what I'm talking about. I said, the name of his company is De Beers. Everybody say, oh yeah, I know De Beers, the diamond company. Okay, and of course Cecil Rhodes, the Rhodes Scholars named after him, the country of Rhodesia in Africa, which is now Zimbabwe, I believe, but it was named after him. But I called Cecil Rhodes the greatest salesman ever because he took a worthless product that was not even scarce, and he got almost everybody in every country in the world, their consciousness to say, I got to have it. In fact, I would ask the people in the students there, how many people here think you need a diamond in order to get married? Okay, all right, and they would, even when they realized there was zero value. There's an industrial value, but it's very, very little, and that diamonds are not rare. What Cecil Rhodes did is they had a lot of diamonds in Rhodesia, okay, and he could just cornered the market on it.
Yeah.
Okay, by cornering the market, then the next step he did was convince people they had to have it.
Marketing.
Okay?
Yeah.
And he controlled the market. And in fact, I would tell the students too, he even tells you how much you have to spend for it. You've seen the ads on TV. And of course, at that time, I don't know if they're still running them, but they would tell you have to spend 3 months worth of salary is the price that you have to pay. Whatever you make in 3 months is what you have to pay for the diamond ring that you're going to give your fiance.
Yeah. Who says that?
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And people buy this.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's so half of my students are always foreign nationals. Okay. So we had roughly some semesters it would be 45, 55, whatever, but roughly half. And the foreign nationals came from China and Saudi Arabia and Europe and Asia and all this, Africa. And the importance of that is they came from different cultures and they were able to share their cultures. But when it came to diamond engagement rings, it was universal. That showed how powerful De Beers was in creating that have to have. And even after the girls found out they were worthless in the class, they said they had to have it. And here's how powerful that was too. That their friends and their family would value their boyfriend or potential husband by how big or how much that diamond was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite unfortunate actually, because you look at how many disqualify because of a rock, Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be the greatest guy in the world, but if it gives you a little thing, your girlfriends are going to criticize them, or whether openly or to themselves. Yeah. And the same with even your family and your parents. Yeah. That's how powerful Cecil Rhodes was. And the importance of that too is that how we spend our money and how we live our lives are so influenced by advertising and media. Okay, we have to get the new car, we have to get that car, we have to get this, and we have to get that dress and this. Okay, that we are now on a treadmill. Instead of gaining financial independence, we're now on a treadmill trying to satisfy a craving that somebody planted in us.
Okay, I really want to feed on this thought real quick.
Sure,
because you're talking about consumerism.
Yes.
And right now, as a matter of fact, I was in a meeting earlier today where we're talking about credit card debt and the market. Because right now the market is horrible. We just had this recent inflation report, so it's gone up again. We were expecting it to go down. It's been really catastrophic in the mortgage industry. We've past the week has been atrocious, for our clients. But it's just a symptom of an overall bigger problem, on the inflation is because there's so many people still purchasing. That's why we're having these problems with these inflation reports, is because people are still keeping up with the Joneses. They still want to buy stuff. We'll say stuff, for appearances, and they're putting it on their credit card debt. Credit card debt is at its all-time high. I think it's close to $14 trillion in credit card debt. It's the worst ever in recorded history, but people aren't dialing back stuff. Now I don't doubt that a lot of it is for the goods and services that they need because the income differences with the inflation. I understand, when you understand, hey, the inflation aspect, their income hasn't done, and so they've been subsidizing with credit. But how much of, if you look at the credit card reports, are you seeing entertainment and useless expenses? Because they're in, as you're talking about, that cycle of caring about consuming versus what they need, what they really want, not, again, take away the social appearances of stuff and worry about building opportunities for wealth, which is where I'm really passionate about helping people, because it's not that I want to say don't give a hockey puck about what other people think, but at the same time, don't give a hockey puck what other people think. Like, they're not going to take care of your family. Focus on your priorities, your morals, your compass. Focus on your priorities. And then that's how you can truly build wealth, because otherwise you're just buying stuff And if you don't know how to leverage it, like you're talking about that student, getting the largest cup, showing everyone they got Starbucks, they drink half of it. Like, what you just wasted, And so it's like, don't get me wrong, it's your right to waste it, but then you're going to go buy another one. It's just like, so you're not really thinking smart. And I like how you talked about money consciousness aspect. It's like, okay, why are we doing what we're doing? When it sounds like from hearing what you're talking about and from our conversation before we started recording, is understanding why we do things is crucial in anyone's financial strategy. You got to know why and what you're doing it for. If a dollar comes in your life, that dollar is an employee of yours. Or I like to use, because you're a veteran as well, I'm a veteran, I look at it as a soldier. I want that soldier to go to war and bring back more. I want it to slay interest, and I want to bring back others. I want it to grow. I want it to, I don't want it to just to go to slaughter. You can look at it as an employee. It's going to work for you. You don't want it to just be an expense. You want it to gain for you. But so many people just look at it as, I got to get rid of it. It came in. I got to get rid of it as quick as I can.
Yes,
Like
it was a hot potato or something.
Yes, yes,
porcupine type of thing, get rid of it. And in fact, I like to say, I don't know if I've said it already there, but the money, it will work 24/7 and never complain. Okay. Yes. So it's a good employee, as you say there. And you have to develop that, that money consciousness. And money is that tool to buy you the financial freedom. You make sacrifices in the beginning, but they're not really sacrifices, because they're stepping stones to get you to the goal of financial freedom that you want. So you can't even look at it as a sacrifice, because it's getting you where you want to go.
Exactly.
And it doesn't take that long. Okay, a small investment here and there. Again, there's many examples in the book, actual examples of people who earned their entire life minimum wage and ended up with millions of dollars. Okay, it's a tried and true formula. Now, anything can happen. Anything can happen catastrophic. So these things are guaranteed, minus a catastrophic event. Like an illness that is uncovered that you don't have a dime for, or your house is destroyed and you didn't have any insurance. Those things could happen, but you don't necessarily have your plan for financial independence based on catastrophic things.
Yeah, and that's where you can get insurance, which is a leverage tool.
Yes.
So you can do that without the worry, because you're paying pennies for something to the side in case something does come down the road. So you don't stress about it. You can live your life versus being paranoid for what's around the corner.
Yes. So I started when I was in real estate. I started. One thing I found, by the way, when I started as a real estate broker years ago, was that when I would make a commission of tens of thousands of dollars, it was actually much more powerful than getting that exact same money doled out in a weekly check. Okay. Yes, I had to pay my expenses and everything once I got the lump sum commission, but when the power in that was that I could actually take that and buy something with it. In other words, if I needed 10,000 for a down, it was easier to take 10,000 out of the $40,000 commission than it was, saving it up from a little at a time from a weekly paycheck. But that's not to diminish a weekly check. I worked for Pepperdine for 30 years, and I got a I don't know, we paid, I think, monthly or twice a month. I can't remember now. But I did the same thing there. I had the money direct deposited into my account, and I had my account always automatically sending money to that linked account, in this case, American Express. And I was always looking for accounts that paid more interest than others.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I would move money around. yes, it takes your time there, but you're making a lot of money. Just the
Yes.
past couple of years with interest rates being so high, uh, my linked accounts are making lots and lots of money
Yeah.
uh, at no risk because all my accounts are tapped off at 250,000, for the
Mhm.
FDIC insurance. Okay, but you know, uh, and some people say, I don't have time to do that. Well, that's okay, but you should realize if you're looking for financial independence, you have to pay attention to these things.
Well, that's awesome. That sets us up, where you and I can have a conversation on the side later, about some really cool things also with no risk that um are up to double digit returns, with
I
no
was
risk. Yeah.
Some of my jobs, my first job I got when I was 10 years old was polishing furniture in a used furniture store. Okay, so I was able to save a few pennies. By the time I was 17, I had worked in several different jobs, sometimes multiple jobs. Even at Pepperdine, even though I was one of the higher paid employees at Pepperdine, I had three other jobs at the same time because I'm interested in things. I enjoy work.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was learning things. Okay, I was a mediator and arbitrator for litigated cases while I was working for Pepperdine, and I was able to do that because I was so successful at Pepperdine for them that my performance was based on what value I brought to the university rather
Yes.
than how much time I spent in the office.
Smart.
Okay. In fact, that's one of the things I tell my students. And I say, I'm looking around the room over here. You all think you're going to go out there and make $1 billion in 3 years. That's what your mindset is. But I said, very few of you are going to be the go-to person. And if you want to be very successfully financially, you want to be the go-to person. The go-to person is the one there that your boss or your company is going to say, once you say, I'll do it, okay, and you don't have to think about it anymore, you will become that most important. You'll be the last one to let go if there's ever a downsizing because you are bringing in the money.
Yeah.
And also, they know when you say, I'll take care of it, they don't ever have to give it another thought. And when you say, I'll take care of it, uh, if it's supposed to be done in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 3 days, you make sure it's done in that because now they'll know you are reliable. And then when you say, I will do it, I'll take care of it, the boss knows I never have to give it another thought. That person is not going to be let go. Okay.
Yeah. I really like that and you can't get to that position without trust,
Yes.
without loyalty, without delivering on your word. And that goes back to your original premise, and also the ethics and morals of that. And also knowing, hey, where your boundaries are, and because some people have no boundaries when it comes to trying to acquire wealth, but when you establish your boundaries, excuse me, you make that reputation for yourself. And so I really like that. Well, we're coming to the end. Dennis, it's been a tremendous pleasure. Please have the final word on anything that you want to share as parting guidance. And then after that, please tell us how our audience can reach you, how to get your book, and just finish it out for us.
Okay, well, thank you for that opportunity to plug the book. If you just type in on Google or any of your search engines, The Course by Dennis Torres, you'll find that it's available everywhere. Amazon, of course, is the easiest and natural one, but it's available in Barnes and Noble, Walmart, eBay, anything. It's just type in The Course by Dennis Torres, and minus the thing. This was a
Yes.
galley copy from a long time ago. And that's basically what it looks like. In that too, very quickly, in that too, I also talk about a way that you can give each of your children $1 million each and never cost you 1 cent. So that will be a teaser. And it's absolutely a foolproof way. And more important than the money, it teaches your children about money. Okay.
Love that.
So you can contact me. I'd be happy to give you my email address, but please, I get a couple hundred emails a day. So if I don't answer you right away, you'll understand. And my email address is Dennis with two N's, Torres, Torres, Malibu, which is the city where I live, at gmail.com. Dennis Torres Malibu. Dennis Torres Malibu, all one word, at gmail.com.
Dennis, it has been a pleasure. You are a new friend of mine, and I appreciate this. This is wonderful. I really enjoyed today's episode, and I'm looking forward towards talking with you some more on the side.
Okay, same here.
I'm really curious. Thank you for watching and listening in to today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can strengthen our mission and get the message out to others on how to leverage to build wealth. Who's next?